And welcome back to another episode of the Huge Boob Corner. I am your host, Peter McLean, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that keeps continuing to support the show. And if you enjoy the show, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Now, today I have an incredibly beautiful and busty guest, somebody who she's a really busy person, but I'm very happy she was able to make some time to come on the show. Please welcome Veronica Jasmine.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas. It's always fun to be in Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's getting busy, but I like busy. That's all right.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, and you're here usually just a couple days a month right now?
I come like twice a month, or 2 days a month,
Okay.
to film and see some friends and
All right.
be in Vegas.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we start with how you got started in adult work?
I just always liked it. I remember being a kid and I saw TV shows where like the woman was sexualized, but she used it to her power.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that from a very young age. And then I progressed into watching shows where there was maybe a madam or an escort in there. And I was like, oh, that's so hot. Right? I was just like, ugh, because I loved sex.
Yeah.
And touching myself from a very young age. And yeah, I had no trauma attached to it. So it was just pure pleasure and intrigue, I guess. And so I just always loved it. And I remember being like 18 and a Barnes & Noble was closing. And there was this book by, I think her name was Megan Mayhem. Mm-hmm. She had big boobies too. And I read her book and I read a couple other girls who were in the industry. And at the time I was a waitress. So this is like a fantasy, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what a life. And I thought that was so cool. And then I was in corporate work for a long time. And pandemic just kind of made me go, oh no. And I was married and I have a family and all of that. And I got laid off in a job that I put all these hours into every week. Mm-hmm. And they just laid me off. And so I snapped. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, oh God. And so I made a lot of big changes in my life. And then within a year, I was very poor. So
okay.
I was like, I think it's time to finally take the plunge.
Yeah.
And I got into sex work and I did not look back. And I haven't looked back. And it was a huge change, especially from going from working a very normal job, right?
Yeah.
That nobody would raise an eyebrow to becoming Veronica Jasmine. And eyebrows are a little high sometimes, but that's okay.
So was it something that you had thought about doing when you were younger, but you thought, maybe.
I mean, I would masturbate thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, to like literally do it, I'd always thought like, oh, I'd have to like lose a bunch of weight to like be able to use my looks to, make a career out of them. Or, I'd have to change something. And I'd always fantasized about it when I was in relationships. Like, oh, if I left this relationship, I could make so much more money. I was right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also, now with the platforms that are there's a lot of different bodies that can be very successful. And I've had other, curvier women on the show and how, you go back to, the 90s or the early 2000s, and it's like there was only a few really well-known like BBW performers, and there weren't a lot of companies that shot them. There weren't a lot of opportunities.
No, there weren't. And they created those opportunities for us over time. For now, this new generation, there's so much, it's just so much more access.
Well, and the thing is, if you have something like OnlyFans, now you have direct fan interaction.
Absolutely.
So they don't have to be like, oh, when's your next scene with this company coming out? Right. You're like, I just do my own.
Right. No, I produce almost all of my own content. I haven't even shot with a production company in months. And I shoot all the time. I have 3 scenes a week. I mean, it's just, you get to create these opportunities for yourself, and by more people, I guess, it's allowed to be attracted to our bodies now.
Not as much of a stigma.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, you like fat chicks. And I'm like, damn, that bitch is thick. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
Even from 10 years ago. So, it's a huge game changer. And I can't imagine. I think it was a fantasy for so long, too, because there wasn't that access 10 years ago. When I was, in my early 20s or late teens, I couldn't have started porn the same way that girls today can, or even like me as a grown woman in my 30s, I got into it with a business acumen.
Yeah.
So it was completely different. Imagine what these girls went through trying to make it out there then.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, and you've been able to maintain your essentially the control over what you do. You never had to compromise. You never had to be like, well, if you want the job, you got to do this, you got to do that.
There's so much more information now.
Yeah, where you can just set up a camera, you can take pictures of yourself, you can take videos of yourself, you can, shoot with whoever you want to shoot with.
Yeah.
And it's, you control everything and there's nobody telling you what to do, what not to do.
Yeah, I like control, so it's good.
Yeah. I had a feeling you did.
I don't think I would have done too well back then. I think I would have made it through like an interview.
So what was it? What was the first step? Like, so you lost your job. Like, did you?
I didn't lose my job.
Oh, okay.
I left my job.
Okay.
I was doing just fine. I actually was, I'm a single parent, so I was trying to live I'm living in California in a very expensive area. You can't really survive on $100,000 a year as one person with a kid there. I'll tell you that. So my bills were getting behind. And I was like, it'd be hot if you were to go sell your pussy. So I did that in a couple different ways. And I got my bills caught up. And then I realized, I could actually make a lot more money and have my own schedule and get to fulfill my fantasies. And over time, there was parts of my sexuality that maybe aren't as great, like wanting to go and have sex instead of doing extra things at work or, like spending too much time dealing with relationships and things like that. Sex work took all of that out of it for me. So I could just focus on the business part because the sex is part of it.
Yeah.
So it just streamlined everything for me. And when I figured that out, I was like, we're going to do that now.
So when you started doing it, was it just like, did you know anybody that helped you get started? No. Or was it just, you just looked at what you needed to do? Like, how does it?
So I had been like on Tinder fucking a bunch of guys because I was super horny and I'd just be like running through them. And then I started to fuck guys I wasn't attracted to see if I could because I wanted to get into like trying different, I'm talking about. Yeah. And so I started doing that and I was like, oh yeah, I can handle anything. Everybody's hot to me once I got their dick in me. So I'm like, let's do this. Nice. And what was the question? I started thinking about dick. I'm so sorry.
No, okay. The question was
sidetracked.
What was it? What was that first thing that kind of got you? FetLife. Okay.
So I was on Tinder and these guys are like, you're kind of into some weird, you're a little kinky. At the time, I thought I wanted to find a dom for myself, and I found a few, and it was interesting. But I was just on there, and actually Christian XXX saw me on FetLife and was like, do you want to shoot porn? And at the time, I was like, I didn't know what it was going to be like. So I was like, so you're going to fly me out and put me up at like a nice hotel and pay me all this money? And he's like, so it's like this. And he told me what like the reality was. And I was like, no, thank you. And then a couple months later, I was like, I think I am interested because I realized through the different, avenues you can take with sex work, porn and making content is really great marketing. So I said yes. And he flew me out to Vegas and I shot my first porno 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that experience? Were you just like was it?
So fucking nervous.
You were?
I was so nervous.
Really? Okay.
Well, he's a famous guy. Well, this is 3 years down the road, baby. Okay. We're not talking about day one, girl. The day one Veronica, I mean, she was shaking in her little pleaser heels wearing a Fashion Nova outfit. Okay. I didn't even know any better. I got onto this, shoot and I was just like, and he comes in, this is like every day to him, right? I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, trying to take pictures of her, and they're like, oh, it's all great. And, it ended up being a great scene. And it was a great experience for me. And he's super professional. And through him, I met the people that I still work with today. So it was just a really positive for me. So then I just kept going with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it something that, like, you had fantasized about at your old job where you were like, man, it'd be cool if I could just do this or was it just... like
I just really wanted to fuck and I wanted to be desired, I think was a lot of it. Growing up being a big kid, like I was a bigger kid growing up and the boobs didn't come until I was 14, right? Okay. So, and it, I was made fun of for being fat and guys, they did have crushes on me, of course, but they weren't saying it back then because they would have gotten made fun of. So there was this huge hole in me that needed to be satisfied or I guess fulfilled. And I was always horny too because in the relationships I was in, I have a very strong sexual appetite. Nobody was able to really keep up. And, they're normal people. They're not a fucking nymphomaniac who becomes a porn star. So I'd always fantasize about it. I mean, I'd be driving home from work and I'd be like, oh, my pussy just needs to go fuck so bad. And I'd be so horny from like interacting with like if I had a hot employee or, a customer come in at the restaurant I was managing, like be kind of horned up and just have to grind on myself.
And it wouldn't go away. Like,
no, it didn't go away. It's still there.
Is that something that's like, at what point did you realize you're like, I think my sex drive might be a little stronger than the average.
I've known my whole life.
Okay.
I've known my whole life. I just in high school, like it was always kind of part of my personality was being sexy or sexually, explorative, even from like the age of 14. Like I remember having a little list of all the people I'd made out with, not just boys, Yeah, and like all little things like that. And like I always like became friends with other MySpace sluts, It's just like what you did. But I always knew it was just like an activity I really liked doing though. But at the same time, before I became Veronica, it was also part of low self-esteem and self-fulfillment.
Okay.
And now that I am Veronica, it's completely different. But I don't have sex outside of being Veronica anymore.
Really?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be was that something that just kind of happened gradually?
Yeah. I mean, over time, you fuck thousands of people and... I have, two different lives. I have my vanilla life at home. That's very different. And I wouldn't be caught dead wearing a low cut shirt. And then I have my Veronica life and that's my business, but my business is also my pleasure.
Okay.
So I just keep it to that and it takes away any confusion. Because still as human beings, you can get distracted by feelings or moments. But if you're on a mission to get dick and be, take over the world with your big titties, you ain't got time for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I stopped.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, does that just make things simpler to deal with?
It does. Because you go into like, let's say I'm just out and about and I go on a date with a guy. I'm not a normal person. Veronica's not normal. She's a professional. So that's it. I'm not going to get the same enjoyment out of going on a date with a guy that I would have as my government name.
Okay.
It's different now. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry you don't value me the same way that a fan would or an investor does. Like, I'm not into it anymore.
Really?
Yeah. It's not as hot to me. But yeah. Well, I just don't have time either, honestly.
Well,
Like, because I balance my two lives, I go as hard at my personal life as I do at Veronica, and you see how busy I am.
Yeah.
It's the same across both boards. So there's just no time for that either.
Yeah, and that might be a harder lifestyle for somebody who's not in that world to understand and to...
I have to compartmentalize so much that this person over here, she doesn't have sex. And that's why. Because this person's just a mom.
Well, and it's also like, because I imagine if you were to try to... Because it sounds like one partner wouldn't be enough. I mean, unless you found that one person that could... equal you.
Is Mark Cuban single?
I don't know.
Okay. That was the only person I was really interested in. No, I'm just kidding. But no, because I would still be Veronica having sex with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm okay with that person. But I just don't have time to even think about emotionally connecting to someone like that if it isn't promoting Veronica
what you do,
or my personal life.
Yeah.
So what's the point? I'm fulfilled.
Yeah. So... Since you've started making content now, you mainly do your own stuff. Like you only shoot with companies every now and then, or you more like what
I've
do you do
shot
more?
with like the same companies since I started. I mean, there's not that many companies that shoot BBW. And I've shot with all of them and they're wonderful and I've had great experiences. But I shoot a lot with Dirty Diva. I work with her a lot and she shoots my content and I love it. So why wouldn't I just keep doing the things that I want to do that position?
Yeah.
I want to choose the male talent. I want to choose the location, all of those things. But I also love shooting for companies when I do shoot for them. But I do know that I have a lot of fun when I make my own stuff and it's fun to produce your own things.
When I was reading some of the information you sent me, and it seems like you're very detail oriented on the scenes. So it's not just simply, it's going to be this scene, this thing, where you actually put more. Seems like you put more thought into
I'm
the
trying
scenario.
to start to.
Yeah.
Producing things takes time and money. And so I'm trying to be like, at least decorate the set, put on a cute outfit, try to add to it. Maybe take pictures outside to start. I don't know. It's more fun and it turns me on more to be more creative. And I think I give a better performance then. I know it makes my pussy wetter. Okay. And so it's just better stuff. But yeah, I love producing and putting things into it and organizing and making sure things go as certain way and putting out the content a specific way, making sure it's edited. It's important. It's brand representation. And when I first started, it was like, I'll just set up a camera over there and I'll pull my pants down. I mean, you don't really know what you're doing, but as time goes on and you meet people and you evolve, it's been really cool to get to make my own things.
Okay. So when you shoot, do you usually have like kind of a, like a small crew, like a, camera person, lighting person, or is it
just camera?
Okay.
Typically. Well, there's different ways of shooting. I mean, you can do gonzo POV. Like I shot a POV last night. That's hot as hell. And it was with a very professional camera person who also has a nice dick. So it was cool. Yeah. Right. So you shoot things like that. Or sometimes when I'm shooting, when I have a camera person, then it's them and me and the talent. Sometimes I use makeup artists. Most of the time I just do it myself. I haven't been on a set where there's lighting and sound. I'm not famous yet, but one day I sure hope to be. And I'll let you know how the sound goes.
Nice.
We're not there yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's good enough in terms of what you have in terms of the cameras.
It is. It's the same as what the production companies are using.
The boom mic, like over.
Not yet. Well, actually, wait. I have been on something. It just hasn't aired yet. That was that. It was a TV show in the UK, but it just hasn't come out yet.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I lied. There was a boom guy one time, but it hasn't come out, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Have there been any scenes so far that you're particularly proud of that from a production standpoint? Obviously, not so much from.
It's not out yet. My favorite one.
Okay.
Well, I'm into like comedy porn a little bit because I've just used like humor as a coping mechanism my whole life, so it just comes out. Sometimes it's really funny too. So I like to make that, and I have one coming out next year with a bunch of girls. It's hilarious and hot. Okay. So I'm excited about that one.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of scenes that I thought were really cool and really good. And just as a bigger woman, becoming a sexual athlete is kind of what I'm working towards. Like being able to do the splits on a guy, being able to ride him for a long time, being able to slap him around with my tits while his dick's inside of me. I mean, that's a lot for over 300 pounds. So the more I progress that way, the more I'm more proud of the content I become, for sure. Yeah.
Well, and that's something that because obviously camera sex tends to be different, and there has to be more
different for sure.
More choreography, I'll say.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know, do you think that when you're doing on camera sex versus off camera sex, does it hit kind of different pleasure zones for you in terms of like that's really good for that as opposed to?
Yeah, it's all mental.
Yeah.
A lot of our sexual everything is our mind, heart, gut, and genitals are all connected, right?
Yeah.
Those are our 4 different brains. So you got someone filming it, it's for content. That part of your brain's already turned into something else. Now, some of the like best dick I've ever had has been on camera because it's porn dick, right? So it feels different and it feels really good. But, there's a big difference between walking into a random orgy without cameras there and you did it for fun when you were 25 versus filming.
Did that happen?
Oh, honey, of course it did.
Okay.
And just doing like a bunch of different things like that, that is a lot different sexually than doing a scripted scene. But if, you do sex tape style where you got the cameras up and go and spend a weekend with another creator and make a bunch of content with them, that's going to be a lot different than the guy I have come into the room with me and a cameraman and we shoot for 20, that scene. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Still feels good, but it's different. I come a lot, but my like big orgasms are typically like when I'm like, I got a toy on my clit and I'm having sex and it's the whole thing. That doesn't look as good on camera when I'm like, like no one really wants to see that.
You have that one position where you're like, oh yeah, but it just
like, and then you all clamp up, your whole body. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's the one. So that's the big orgasm. So that's definitely different than what's on camera, but it still feels good. But it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Still hot though. Now I'm like thinking about what I did last night. I'm like, that was hot.
And it sounds like you were very sexually experienced before you even started sex work.
Yeah. And I mean, not to the extent that I thought I was. And then I started sex work and I was like, oh, baby, I've learned quite a bit. And you pick up skills over time and you evolve. But I always liked sex and it's just been a comfort for me. I'm more comfortable with sex than I was with talking about politics or anything from a young age, more than I was about science or computers. It's just what I've always been comfortable with. So it was just like a natural evolution in its own way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't precipitated by anything like that that you were around, like in terms of you just naturally had an interest in it?
And it's funny, my mom said that my aunts and on that side of the family, I had an aunt who was pretty slutty. So I guess she was successful in business and she just used her sexuality and attracted people from it. And I was a lot like her and their, other relatives. So it can be genetic to be oversexed in a way, but no sexual trauma, nothing like that.
No.
I used to sneak watching Sex in the City when my parents were asleep. I'd creep up and be like, HBO's on. All right, go back to my room and have my own TV and little cable box. And I was like 9. They thought I was watching I'm
actually watching The Sopranos.
No, I used to put on Elmo. That's how young I was. But I was like, what's that Carrie girl up to? And then I read the book from Sex and the City, and it was essentially like an escort. I was like, these bitches are all getting ahead in life using being hot or sexy. So
you have a Kim Cattrall kind of, what was her character?
Samantha got that a lot. Yeah,
she seemed like the most, I'll just say,
in tune.
With her
pussy.
Yeah. She was the one who had the most fun, I guess.
Yeah, she did.
But from stuff that I saw, but it's and that's cool that you were able to recognize that. Was that something that you were a little self-conscious about when you were
being
younger?
Sexual? Yeah, no, it was always part of my identity and my personality.
So would people know that about you, or was that something you kind of kept?
I mean, my friends, but I wouldn't just walk down the street and be I like to get pounded.
No, I know.
But my friends and stuff, yeah, absolutely. I would be the one that they would talk to about their sex things or ask questions to. And it's funny, even when I was a younger teen, I didn't have as much experience, but I watched so many things that you would think that I did.
Well, because I meant that sometimes people grow up in environments that think of sex more shamefully. Yeah. So you're like, I really like it. I don't want to talk about it because I don't. Okay, you didn't know. Oh, that's good.
I would never had to be ashamed of it. But I didn't. I was a chubby kid too, so I wasn't getting the attention from guys. Yeah. So it wasn't until I was 14 or 15, and I've discovered the internet and MySpace and Facebook and so the boy sitting next to me in class is telling me about his dick, but he's got a girlfriend and we would sex after school, but then I never talked to him in school. That kind of bullshit for years, being an insecure teenager. That was more, I guess, a sexual getting me on the internet with it, where maybe that stemmed from being comfortable with it.
Yeah. So what would you say, because you said that you were on FetLife, so what were some fetishes that you either had or have, or what is it that really gets your motor going? As
this person, not Veronica, I really liked being dominated by men that I respected and was really attracted to and just fucking railed. But there's a whole mental control that goes into that, and it has to be a lot of trust. So I only really enjoyed it one time with one person. Okay. So I attempted that with many, and it did not go the way I wanted it to. And I was like, bitch, I don't respect you. You can get on your knees. What are you doing with your penis? No. Not interested. Yeah. So I got into that. I got a message from this guy when I must have been on Bumble for maybe a month, and he was like, I want to wear women's panties and I want you to fuck me in the ass. And I was like, roll through. So I used to drink, so I made it a whole night. I was like, I'm taking the night off work, dude. I'm going to fucking do in the ass. I've always dreamt of this shit. I used to look at my ex ass and go, that's a cute little butt. But of course that, he wasn't into that. Yeah. So a guy comes over and he's a good looking surfer bro, and I was, of course, this part of me is like, choke me, right? But then he's like, no, I want you to do that. And so he's a double-ended dildo. I'm fucking him in the ass. It was pretty hot. He has little panties to the side, his little tan abs, and he's just getting railed, and it was hot. Yeah, and that was before Veronica, and then that kind of helped me.
That steered you.
Yeah, because I did a lot of dom stuff in the beginning of my career, and I still do sometimes, but I don't really attract submissive men the way that I used to.
Really?
I ran over this guy's balls one time with an office chair, and I think since then I've scared a couple of them off.
How do you even do that?
He asked me to.
No. But I'm trying to think of he was laying on the ground.
They were very abused balls at this point, so they were able to be away from his person. You know, he walked in with a Dremel saw and was like, I want you to saw my balls. And I was like, you fucking weirdo. And I was like, we can do better than that.
And this is before?
No, this was during. This is in the first year of Veronica, though. Okay. And so I'm doing that with his balls. And I was like, this is boring. You've done this before. Your balls are sandpaper. I was like, we need to take things to the next level. So I get him on the ground and he's got his balls out. And I take a chair just like this one and all over his balls. He's all, ah! He called me the castrator. I was like, well, I guess you won't be asking for that again, will you?
Oh, man.
So after that, like, how do you compare to that as a dom?
I mean, have you ever gotten into, I don't know if this matters to you or not, but kind of the psychological aspect of why people are into certain things.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, because
that's the best part.
I don't like pain. I'm not I like to feel good and getting hurt in ways. It doesn't do it. But the fact that there are people out there that, again, can, like, videos where the people, they'll get kicked in the balls or they'll get, ran over. And it's like, I'm wondering what is it that led them to wanting that? Really?
A lot of people were abused or they don't have any control. It just depends on a case by case. And a lot of things come from their childhood. Almost all of them do. That's how our brains are programmed, right? Those early years where it's all being molded, things that we saw, it could even be innocent things that you saw on TV on accident or you overheard or, a weird experience at a friend's house or something. I mean, there's a lot. And typically when I talk to people who have these extreme fetishes, there's a lot of trauma behind it typically. But there are some people who just like, I wasn't an abused person, but like, well, I'm getting fucked really hard. I come harder if a guy chokes me a little bit, but if you slap me across the face, I'm going to punch you. Like, we all have our different limits or things that turn us on. But I mean, if there's guys who like some real out there stuff.
And I assume that's something you didn't get exposed to until you started to until the Veronica.
Until it became a profession. There's things that I wasn't interested in doing. But as a professional, it's really intriguing and exciting to challenge yourself because when your entire business is sex, how deep into this can you go? How much can you challenge yourself? I mean, I've done things I never thought I would do or be capable of doing. And it expanded my brain so much to be able in other areas of my life because I did that sexually.
Okay.
So it can be really cool. I don't like hot wax, so I'm just going to say that right now.
Really?
So everyone knows.
Okay.
No, thank you. Yeah, it hurts.
And I'm curious, going, experiencing more things and doing all these, stronger and stronger fetishes, did that kind of desensitize you to, say, more traditional vanilla stuff? Or can you still enjoy your...
Oh, I still enjoy it. I'm pretty, at my core, I like my neck being kissed and my pussy licked, and then I want to get fucked, and then I want to have a sandwich, rub my shoulders. That's always going to still be there.
Yeah.
But I am desensitized in other things. Absolutely. Things don't shock me. And human nature in general doesn't surprise me anymore. But it's a whole different life when you go from working a structured, public school, getting married, having a corporate job, having children. You're programmed. Well, I stopped being programmed. So I'm desensitized to a lot of different things, but sexually, not really.
Well, because I think every partner's different, right? Every person that you're with, they have different mechanisms and different things that they enjoy. So are you, is it just you're able to kind of, as you said, compartmentalize and then just kind of, change the way you're thinking of the person that you're with to be like, okay.
Just feel their energy.
Yeah.
And you walk in a room with somebody and you can tell what they want just by looking in their eyes and understanding them. And maybe they don't know what they want, but I'm going to show them. So it just depends on the person. And
is that something you developed later on?
I've always had the ability to read people.
Okay.
But it definitely got heightened as Veronica. That's definitely for sure. And with men, it's a lot easier than with women. But, can figure out what they like. You can ask them. But a lot of people don't really want to tell you what they really like. You have to get it out of them by showing them what they like.
Interesting. Do you have an example of something like that? Like something that you did with...
Well, I'll have a guy be like, oh, yeah, I just, I really want to feel your boobs on me and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're having sex or whatever. I'm like, no, bitch, you don't want to breathe. And then I just put him in his face and he comes and that's what I thought. No, he really just wanted to be fully smothered.
Yeah.
They don't want to ask to be fully smothered because they're not ready for that yet.
Or do they think that maybe they don't want to potentially shock you? Or they don't want to turn you off? They might think, she might think I'm too weird.
Maybe, or more of they feel shamed about things on their own. There's some things that it's kind of weird to be like, I like to get suffocated by tits. Oh,
I don't think that's weird.
Well, to the point where you can't breathe.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think it's weird, but I'm saying some people aren't just going to like walk into the bar and be like, what are you into? Getting smothered? Getting sat on, being slapped around, different types of things like that. Or I just like to eat butthole and that's what makes me hard. Like guys are like, just like say that, right? So you figure it out.
Yeah.
And you can evolve what they like too. I always like when somebody's like, I'm really into role play. Oh, hell yeah, let's get into it. I have this really cool guy I have sex with, and he'll be like, okay, you're going to be my daughter's friend, and it was homecoming. So I'll be like, oh, Mr. Parker, thank you for picking me up. I was really nervous. And, like, you can just explore with that. Like, why did he pick that?
Yeah.
Let's go this way with it for a minute. Oh, yeah, that is what he wanted, So they'll give you a little bit, and you can decide where it goes. It's fun. People are fun like that.
Well, and I've talked to other, I've had other guests on the show, and one thing that they really like is they genuinely get happiness giving people pleasure. Like being able to make them feel good, being able to, and I mean, is that something that you're able to? Because obviously, it sounds like you get pleasure from it personally too. But is it nice to be able to make the people that you're with happy?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's part of, in my opinion, also like customer service of just like making people happy. I'm a businesswoman and I happen to have giant tits and like to get fucked. So I incorporated that. Of course, I like to make people feel good. But what I really like doing is what this allows me to do over here in my personal life, because this is where I make people feel good. I give back 10% of all my earnings to my community. I help children. I volunteer full time. Like, I'm in this, and this is where I give a lot back. Does it feel good to give back pleasure? Of course. And it feels good to make people come. And I really like having skills and talents that they never thought they could experience before. And that's really fun. But yeah.
Well, and that's something too, where the fact that you have the ability to afford, whether it's the lifestyle that you want or be able to provide for the people you need to provide for and not have to worry.
That's what energy does, though. It's not about having means. It's about if you give to people in your life and you are genuine and you follow whatever spiritual it is, you're going to attract that back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you were mentioning that.
And I got to the place where I could do that because I give back. Even when I don't have something, I'm going to give something. Yeah. Because that's what is needed in that moment. So, yes, over time, it has evolved to where I am more comfortable in being able to be generous and with my time and as a person. But you got to give it. You got to give to get.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is being able to balance this side of your life with that side of your life. And it sounds like it's, gone really well for you.
It's been really hard.
Really?
Well, yeah, I have so many, like I can only travel on certain days. I have issues on this side. I mean, a lot of it, but I overcome that. It makes me fight harder. The doors were closed on me when I first got into the industry because I didn't get along with a couple other people. And boom, no other girls would work with me for years.
Wow.
I've had to fight really hard to get where I am, but that made me so much stronger and more humble, and to be able to be like, no, you can keep your mouth shut sometimes and listen and learn. Yeah. And it's cool. It's good.
Well, kids, and you were talking about you were saying about like manifestation and so how, like, is that something that you also kind of, that was a part of who you were for a long time?
Oh, I've discovered that over time because I had to heal myself from being a regular person with low self-esteem and all these other issues, right? Yeah. So over time, I've definitely worked on that. But I did know, like, it's funny. I do this thing with my vagina where I can just, like, squeeze it. And within, like, an hour, a guy will be, like, giving me money.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It works every time.
Really?
I just forget to do it some days.
Oh, well.
Or I can just, like, feel like, oh, yeah, that guy's going to text me later and send me some money. And he
Interesting.
Yeah, so like my body can manifest it too.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a powerful pussy. She's like, yeah. She's out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you follow that? And it sounds like doing, sex work has allowed you the outlet to, were you able to explore a lot of fantasies that you had prior?
No.
Really?
I was repressed. Okay, well, like after I left my marriage, I got weird for a bit. But by that, I mean, I was just fucking everybody. But no, I mean, beforehand, I didn't have the sex life that I'm capable of having now. Because I didn't know my body the same way. So like fantasies now, I get to live them out in much more opulent ways than I ever thought. Like, I've always wanted.
Because, I mean, it sounds like you've experienced a lot.
I have never been penetrated by a trans woman, and I'm waiting for that.
Okay.
No, I mean, I haven't done anal on camera. I haven't done a gangbang. I've never been gangbanged. I've never, like, had double vaginal penetration. There's a lot of things I haven't done yet. I'm only 3 years in, though. But I haven't done them in my personal life either because I'm like, you know what? We're going to go on this journey, both of them together.
Well, and it sounds like that personal life is now basically in the back where...
there's no dating. There's no... I don't even have friends. Like, it's all either supporting my home life or work. Yeah. And I'm fulfilled from that because all my needs are getting met in both areas, right? I mean, being Veronica, how could I not feel good about myself?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are awesome who are out there, you know, loving big tits. So.
Well, and, you know, nice segue into the boob area.
Yeah, you see these?
Yes, I do. They're kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, they've been big for a while.
So you said that they didn't really start to grow until you were in high school?
No, I think I got them when I was, maybe 8th, 9th grade. Yeah. And how big are they? They're a J cup.
Okay. And when did you get to the size that you're at now?
20s, probably 25. And then when I became Veronica, they got bigger because I was allowed to eat.
Okay.
And not feel bad about it. So they got bigger. And now I've like lost weight, but they haven't shrinked. So
Okay.
They're the biggest they've ever been.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And did you always like that? Did you always like having big boobs?
I love my boobs.
Yeah.
And I always knew they were like pretty too. I was like, oh, I like those.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and with natural ones, it's, you know, because they're, in terms of like when they're enhanced, you can sculpt them the way that you want them to look. When they're natural, it's like, well, they have, if they're some, they'll be fuller looking, others will be a little, flatter looking, depending on the person.
No, they're banging.
They're
banging. Pretty ass nipples too. I love sucking on them. So, and I love finding other girls who have pretty nipples like them too, and just like rubbing them on them. Yeah, sometimes.
So would you say that you have a favorite thing about having huge boobs?
Oh, they're powerful. God, just having them on my chest turns me on.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, because I know how many dicks I can shove under there and make them fucking melt, you know? It's hot. I love having big boobs. I love my nipples. They feel sensitive. It's like having a clit on my chest, like
really
into it. I mean, I don't come the same way, but it's the same, like,
yeah.
Yeah, it turns me on.
So your nipples are very sensitive?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that that's one of the things that is probably one of your strongest erogenous zones?
Yeah, it's up there. Like my neck, my clit, my nipples, my butthole.
And you were and one of the things that you were mentioning is just the benefits of having huge boobs. So what in your mind, what are the benefits in terms of that you get from them?
I mean, you just walk into a room and everyone's like, holy shit. Like if I'm dressed like that, you get a lot of attention. You can control people with your breasts. I mean, breasts are pretty powerful. So yeah, I love having them. They're a challenge with clothing, but it's fine.
It's one of the few drawbacks.
Yeah, I'll deal with it. Yeah. And the back pain, I'll deal with it too. Yeah. That's what the massages are for.
Nice. Yeah. Would you say that they're probably your most popular body part with your fans?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
That and the shit that comes out of my mouth, but probably my boobs.
Because a lot of times with BBWs, the ass is usually the most popular.
Mine's cute. I mean, but I'm a boob girl.
It's on the top.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a BBW, but I'm mostly known for my boobs.
Okay.
They're huge.
Yeah.
They make the BBW look small next to them. I mean, they're like, bam. So
yeah,
I'm a big fan.
A BBBW. A big, beautiful, busty woman.
Oh, I like that one too.
Yeah,
that's good.
But I mean, I imagine that they probably get a lot of attention with the people that you're with.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but so does my ass. So does my pussy. I mean, so does my entire body. So I really love, though, when I'm fucking a boob guy, because when he's on top of you, he'll grab him and smush him like that and just like, it's so hot.
So boob guys know what to do with them.
Boob guys fuck different.
Really?
Yeah. Oh,
wait. So unpack this. How do we fuck differently?
So guys who like boobs, it's a lot more missionary. Let's be real.
Well, yeah, because it's the best.
Or on top, right? But there's like just they interact with them more.
Okay.
Guys who like ass or just like, oh, you're so pretty. It's a lot different than a guy who's like, I'm here to bang you out and suck on those fucking tits. Like that's a lot different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's for you a special like place in your heart for boob guys?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I love when I'm around a boob guy because I know I can control him and make myself come on his dick. Come on now, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty easy, I guess, in that sense to please.
I mean, the ass guys everybody has their thing, but like if you're in the room with a giant pair of natural fucking tits, it's kind of heaven, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be heaven to somebody?
True. It's a good call. And you like huge boobs on other women?
Yeah, they're great.
Or are you not like? Well, are you like? Do you consider yourself like bisexual, pansexual?
Not really.
Not really.
I thought I was for a long time, but it turned out that was just the alcoholism. Yeah.
Okay.
Turns out I'm pretty straight.
Okay.
But I mean, I do scenes with women, and I fuck guys together with other women, but. It's not like when I was younger. Like I used to fuck strippers and shit back when I was drinking and out and having fun and stuff. And I like their fake titties and things like that. But I think that was just more of just like fun. It wasn't really like a connection or like this deep desire within me.
Okay.
I used to like watch porn and I would watch the other girl. Now I just watch myself. So now I like myself and I want to have sex with me. So I think I'm more attracted to men.
Okay.
Because of that. I don't know.
Do you edit your own content?
A lot of it.
I was going to say it might get distracting then if you like to watch yourself. You're like...
No, because then I'm just trying to like get shit done. Actually, it is a distraction. I masturbate like 4 or 5 times a day on editing days. I'll be like on a travel day and I'll just have like a toy right here and it's like, oh, fuck. Look at that ass. I love my ass. I love my ass bent over. That's like what I get off on more than my tits. But yeah.
So how long after you started being Veronica did your confidence really start to grow?
I mean, people always thought I was a confident person, but to truly be confident, like deep down in my core is when I got sober from alcohol. Really? And I'm Veronica. So it was probably within the last year that I like truly became the person I'm proud of being and like actually confident and having true self-esteem and liking the choices that I make and respecting myself. So I don't think I would have gotten there without Veronica, but I definitely got there by sobriety.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And I might go back to that, but is there any particular way that you like your boobs to be played with?
Depends on the hand or the mouth.
Okay.
Or whatever the hell they're using.
So, okay. Well, so it's I
don't want to be like roughed up. I don't like when guys are too rough with them.
Well, because you said you're sensitive.
I like punch my boob, like thinking he was slapping and I was like, no. Yeah, I mean, I like to give light touch. So I touch people light and I like to give them goosebumps and have their hair stand up and get all going that way.
Okay.
So I definitely get off that way. But I mean, it just depends on the connection that I have with the person who's touching them, in my opinion.
Really?
Because I could like a nice grab and, pulling. It just depends.
Do you find yourself getting at like, because again, since you're, depending on the context of how you meet people, can you make these kind of like short-term connections with them in kind of in the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's how we got here.
Okay.
That's how I got to be who I am, is by making those connections. You can make a connection with somebody in 10 seconds, and I can stick with them forever.
Yeah.
You give me an hour or 5. Woo.
Well, and I'm sure you see some people more regularly.
Oh, yeah.
So that's more, I mean, maybe that's the closest to like a...
That's how I date. Those are my relationships.
That's your relationships, yeah.
Yeah, this girl doesn't, but this girl, she dates very nice gentlemen.
So, and how is it that you're able, so you get yourself into a different mindset with the different person that you're with?
I mean, I do that with everything that I do in my life in general. It's a different mindset getting on the airplane than it is driving home. It's just adapting. Constantly being able to adapt. I mean, being in the service industry for so long, bartending and then serving and then eventually managing, I had like 70 employees. You got to be able to adapt real quick to things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just took that to it. And when you put sex in it, it can be even more fun.
And did you always love to like show your boobs off?
Yeah.
Yeah, even before you started doing it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just because they always were a crowd pleaser?
I mean, they're like my best asset. Like, yeah, my face is pretty, whatever. I mean, they're fucking awesome tits. Mm-hmm. They're really good boobs.
Yeah.
I would resent my friends when I was younger. They'd be like, Eli thinks you're cute because of your boobs. Now I'm like, so I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Okay, let me cry over it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you're more than just boobs, though. I mean, that's like there's a lot more to you. So it's
okay. They're a product, and they're a fabulous product.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're a great attention getter. They're a great kind of that gets the person's attention, and then there's all this other great stuff to discover about you afterwards.
I have them all strapped down on this side. Yeah. But over here, I'm like. Are we on Bourbon Street yet? No, but I like to show my boobs.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, because I've seen that you tend to, rock a lot of bikinis and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's something that
I like warm weather. So like I'm gonna go places where I can be in a bikini. Mm-hmm. That's how the bikinis get in there. I just want to be warm.
Well, yeah. But
yeah, I like to show them off. And I don't mind, like, sometimes I'll be like somewhere and my photographer's like, okay, we have to make sure there's like no kids or families. And I'm like, let me check out tomorrow. Just hurry up. Just real quick. And I'm in a bikini. It's a lot more flesh than a skinny girl, right? Even if she does have big boobs. So it's a lot of flesh. Mm-hmm. But I have no problem showing it.
Yeah.
When it's appropriate, yeah.
Yeah. Have you been to like, resorts that are like topless or nude? Or are you not really into
I went to Secrets in Orlando a couple years ago, but I'm more into like 5-star hotels than.
Yeah, and instead of
I'd rather
the
do
that
in my villa than at a lifestyle hotel. I don't really go to lifestyle anything anymore.
Really?
I used to, but now it's just not. I don't have sex as her, and Veronica's not going to go to a lifestyle party and have sex for no reason. If it isn't being filmed, why am I there? Mm-hmm. So it's just different now.
Yeah. What was that like when you would was that because there are people that, that are in that in the lifestyle that it's a very committed group to
and they have a big community and all of that too. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I've been to events like that and I used to go to like swingers clubs in New York and shit, but that was all tied into drinking for me too.
Really?
So that was kind of like a hand in hand thing. So I kind of stepped away from any party type of lifestyle. And a lot of those swinger type things, in my opinion, were parties, and I'd want to drink or something. So those are situations I don't put myself into anymore.
Okay.
But not to say like if I were with one of my boyfriends and he wanted me to go to a party like that, of course I would go. Mm-hmm. Right. But it's just different.
I was going to say, since becoming sober, has it changed? Like, do you think that you can enjoy things more now because you're sober?
I'm 15 months sober, so I would say probably in the last 5 to 6 months I've gotten to the place where I do enjoy everything better sober. Okay. There's I was drinking for many, many years and party girl or whatever for so long, so I had to reteach myself what is pleasurable to me, what do I actually like, and that's how I found out straight.
Okay. Like you noticed when you were sober, you were like, I'm not really into this, but
I was actually with one of my friends and she was like, you're straight, right? And I was like, what do you mean? I thought I was bi. And she's like, you've never put your face in my pussy. And we were having sex with men together. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Because you have a really nice one, huh? And it's true. Like, I can suck any guy's dick, but I don't think I could just eat any girl's pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So, but I mean, was it something that you thought, like, you needed the alcohol to have fun, or was it just
back then?
It was just.
Well, I didn't take responsibility for my stuff. Like, alcohol was a crutch. Like, I would just, instead of being like, oh yeah, let me take care of all of my things, I'm just gonna get drunk, and then it won't be a problem. Yeah. But a lot of the things were things deep within myself that I hadn't fixed of who I am as a person. Fix childhood trauma, fix insecurities over time, forgive yourself for things, right? Yeah. Grow. And those weren't things I was able to do when I was drinking. I was never able to just have one drink. It would be, 2 times a year I'd get too drunk. And so that's not cute. But I also could drink more than anybody. Yeah. So I'd be the one all night until 4 a.m., got a bunch of guys back at the hotel going crazy. And my best friend would be thrown up on the floor and like, I'm going to die. And I'm like, I'm ready. Let's go. We got another city to hit, know? So, yeah.
I can imagine that you probably had a couple of shots in between the cleavage sometimes for some people, or did you not?
Yeah. Or I could just put the whole drink. I mean, a shot would probably fall out.
A beer stein
in
you
there.
Could
put those like candle ones. Yeah, like that's fine.
But it's because they're very useful. I'm sure, holding a lot of
stuff. Good shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put a lot of things in them. I'm like,
well, I mean, I'm just imagining, like, because
great.
I mean, having huge boobs, I imagine, is a great confidence boost. Anyway, like, kind of naturally, isn't it?
Of course. I mean, it's just like for men having, big shoulders or being tall, it's like it's naturally one of those things that people are immediately drawn to biologically.
Yeah.
So yes, having large breasts is a huge benefit. Thank you, Mom. She says it's because of her, because hers are huge.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah, well.
They're huge on both sides.
Yeah.
I was like destined.
So you were never worried, like, I'm not going to get boobs. You were like, I'm probably going to get
No, and
them.
I told my best friend growing up, I was like, your boobs are never going to be as big as mine. And I was right, dude. She's got C cups. She still brings it up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was mad at her that day.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I was never concerned that they weren't going to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done content like with other super busty women to like kind of play into that kind of stuff, or you kind of just usually keep it to just you?
I mean, I just started filming with other women, like within the last year or so.
Well, I mean, not like sex, but just like, say if you had, you did like a boob smothering where you had one
just released a scene with Bunny and Aston, and then we had another girl on it.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw it. Yeah.
I got boobs everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, and Aston's one of those who, like, again, she's more, her ass is probably her most popular.
Her boobs are so nice.
Yeah, her boobs are amazing.
So pretty.
Yeah,
oh my
her
God.
boobs are amazing.
Yeah, I like her boobs.
But
I'm gonna enjoy them some more soon, I hope.
So even though you're not, you can't, doing like full sex with a woman is not as easy.
I probably could with her. She's so hot.
Yeah.
It just depends on the woman, honestly. And there's some women who I bond with, and then it feels like they're my sibling. I don't want to fuck my sibling. But if there's somebody you have a vibe with, and there's still like loose energy around that doesn't have to be, derived into one type of relationship, I could probably fondle her.
Yeah. Are there some models out there that you really like kind of, I'd love to shoot with this person?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Do you have like a list, or is it just kind of like you see something and you're like, ooh, I want to hit her up and see if she wants to make some stuff? I
mean, I've met people who I'm like, oh my God, it's my dream to like shoot with that person because they're so sexy and hot. But I'm going on my list and meeting a lot of them.
Yeah.
Aston was a big one for me to meet, definitely. And I mean, she's just a goddess. She's so beautiful.
Oh, I know. And she's such a great person. I've known her for years, and so she's really great.
Yeah. I would love to be dominated by Sophia Rose one day.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good meeting.
Oh my God.
She's got amazing boobs too.
I would just die. She could do anything to me. She can do anything. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, mistress. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like being dominated by women. Now that like I think it's hot, and it allows them to feel more in charge and like empowered, and it's hot. I like seeing a woman in that,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you find it, do you think it's a little difficult sometimes to find people that can dominate you in terms of, because you have a very, well, I was going to say, because you have a very strong, assertive personality, and that might.
It depends on the room I'm in of what personality needs to come out, honestly.
All right.
And that's survival instincts too, right? Mm-hmm. But you meet somebody who also has a strong personality, and you know that that's important to them.
Yeah. That's
when you become a little bit more reserved and friendly.
You can.
I like to learn things.
You can be more,
submissive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you have people that, I mean, obviously, on one of the things about having huge boobs tends to be people might want to grab them. People might want to be like, oh, are they real? Or, like all this different stuff. Do you tend to get like.
I don't dress I'm dressed like this right now because I was coming here.
Yeah.
But I dress pretty like classy and present myself not very approachable.
Okay.
So not really. But I was recently at
like when
a couple of my friends were doing this strip show. So I went. And I was dressed similar to this about revealing. Guy walks up to me, grabs my boob, and shoved $3 in my shirt. And I was like, oh no. I was like, sir, you are mistaken. I was just like, I don't want to be groped. You can ask me if you can touch me, but like, and that's something I had to learn, like with conventions and stuff, like guys wanting to come up and just motorboat me. I was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, that's so weird. But, that's part of the porn culture and all of that too. So, but in those situations, I mean, I'm going to try to be cool about it. But
well, like also when you're in your partying years, would it be something?
People loved grabbing on me then. Absolutely. Yeah. When I was like, hi, giving that energy out, then that was happening for sure.
Well, I just know that because now I think, especially conventions, there's a lot more rules against with about consent and don't touch somebody unless they say it's okay.
Yeah. It was my first convention this time, but I didn't get groped at the convention. It was at a stripper party. So, I mean, probably thought I was a stripper, right? Even though I wasn't dressed like one. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, because unfortunately, one of those things with huge boobs is that a lot of people take, even like I've heard women.
I don't like when women start grabbing on me. It's so women, inappropriate and disrespectful.
Maybe women, because they think, well, we're women, so we're less threatening, so it's okay for us to do this. And I'm like, I don't know if that's right.
Even in a porn setting, I don't like a girl to just come up to me that I've never met and start touching me. Like, talk to me, not like, hey, girl, and then objectify me like I'm just my boobs. Yeah. And a lot of women who don't have as big of boobs do that to the women with big boobs to objectify them, I've noticed, so that they're being reduced to their breasts.
So you think that's a way for them to maybe overcome an insecurity with having smaller boobs?
They're overwhelmed by seeing these big-ass titties that they want to have. So they're like, and it's subconscious probably for a lot of people. Just like, women with no ass would probably be like, damn, girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like, again, that over the, they've done a really good job in terms of being a good asset for you.
I love them.
In a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
So do you just make some boob content sometimes where it's just like, just focus on that, not really, like maybe just, you'll see hands, like just playing with them and stuff like that?
Yeah, I try to focus on my boobs a lot more. I need to make more like boob centered stuff and a lot more like titty fucking type of videos. But my pussy's so greedy, she's like, no, I need to get fucked. So anytime I go to like do a blowjob, I'm like, I'm like, goddamn.
You're like, so it sounds like, your vagina has a lot more control over your mind.
When I'm having sex, yeah.
It'll take over?
Oh, yeah. Well, she's powerful. Like I told you, she summons people.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that.
She's doing it right now, just so you know.
So it's good. And what's the turnaround time? An hour?
Depends.
Okay.
Depends on the amount that's coming.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. But no, I swear to God, it'll work.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So, and, it's got to be, was that something like, when did you figure out that you had that ability? That
I've always been able to squeeze my vagina and make myself come. So I can squeeze it all the way in and my asshole, and it gives me like this jolt of pleasure. And then like I started doing it and like I was like, I'm going to manifest. And every time it worked.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't not worked.
Well, I feel like your boobs probably have some manifestation abilities too.
I mean, they're hard as fuck right now.
Well, I'm just saying.
Like,
I'm just saying.
They're like, yeah. Like we're mana-breasting right now, baby.
You're mana-breast.
Yeah. Nice. Squeeze it. Oh, a little jolt there. There we go.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I'm curious, when did you start to realize how powerful they were? Like, was it just something that you knew before you got them? Or was it something that when you got huge boobs, you started to realize that people like acted differently around you, or guys gave you more attention? Like,
I knew I had like good boobs always since I was young because people just stared at them. And it was actually grown men staring at my 14-year-old tits that made me realize that they had power.
Power to get some people in prison at that point. But yeah,
you can't help it if your girl's walking around in a low-cut shirt.
I get it.
She looks 17.
And you don't know it, yeah. And a guy,
Yeah, but I knew then. That's when I knew, and I was like, oh.
So I was going to say, did you kind of immediately start to feel how you're going to utilize them?
I didn't have any type of knowledge of how to do that properly at that age. Really? I had low self-esteem, and I was like made fun of as a chubby kid, so I didn't know what to do. I don't think I really knew the power of my breasts until I was Veronica.
Really?
The true power? Yeah.
Well, and so what would you say the true power of them would be? From what you thought they
world domination. I thought we discussed this.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, like the idea, like, because what was it like? Was it a specific incident or encounter that happened that you were like, man, these things are like superpowers?
I would say it's I knew they were a superpower because of how my career's gone.
Yeah.
And as a BBW, having breasts of this size and being blonde and tan and all of those things, the doors that these breasts have opened for me have that's why I know they're powerful.
Okay. I mean, because
the access they've given me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They are a pretty powerful body part.
They are.
So
they are.
You know, I mean, and obviously, because I've had I had a guest on. Her name was Demore Avarice, and you probably know who she is. Where she had naturally huge boobs. I think she started out at Jay's, and then she got the fat transfers to make them even larger. Is that something that you would, or you're good with where they are now? Or I mean, they could always still grow.
I'm not going to touch anything right now. I mean, I'm 3 years into the industry, right? And I've been losing weight and getting like in better shape for my health, not necessarily to like not be, BBW, but my breasts have not shrunk, thank God.
That's good.
But if they start to change a lot, then I'm probably going to go down different avenues, right? But to try to keep them at my body ratio of giant breasts and everything else too, I'd like to keep it as natural as I can.
Well, and that's where the fat transfer comes in, because you do it and it's an enhancement, but it's still natural. It's not something foreign.
No, it's cool
in there. So
I don't really think I need that right now.
No. I'm not saying you.
I don't think my back could handle it. I'm serious.
It's at its breaking. It's at its limit.
It's just not healthy for someone to carry that much more weight with all the other, like, I got big body parts all over, right? So that's already holding down the exoskeleton a little bit. So for me at this point, no.
Okay.
But I like the way his hair looks.
Yeah.
I definitely have stared at those quite a bit.
Have you had do you have fans that are like have asked if you were going to try to have them? No, they don't.
No.
I guess it's different with natural breasts, because when they're natural,
they don't want them to change.
Yeah.
Right. Well, don't do anything to your body. You're
don't
natural.
lose weight, because sometimes they will get smaller and deflate a little bit, or start to look a little different.
Mine are pretty strong, so
yeah. Well, but no, that's great that you've been able to lose weight and keep them.
Yeah, just walking mostly. I'm afraid of when we start the upper body, what's going to happen. I might be asking Demora for a doctor's number, but
I feel like with all the sex you have, that's a lot of aerobic activity, though.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is some.
It's also a lot of time on airplanes.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a lot of steakhouses.
Which we do.
It's a lot of caviar. I mean. Cheesecake,
so you balance it out.
Yeah, but I also have like thyroid problems, and like I don't have a thyroid, so like my metabolism's been weird forever. So there's just different things. So,
all right, well, Veronica, we have come to the end of the show.
All right,
but I hope you had a good time.
I did. I had a great time. Thank you for having me.
You were a fantastic guest.
Why, thank you.
I hope you come back someday.
I hope so too.
And to all of you out there in Huge Boob Land, we will see you next time. Bye.